welcome to another episode of Climate for Fun, the podcast that turns climate change into a laughing matter as much as is possible. And here's Antonio Salituro, your host, and I'm thrilled to have Thomas Coaster with me today, who is also known as Mr. Goodvertising. Welcome, Thomas, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much, Antonio. And I think we need a bit of smiling in these sort of grim days of wildfires and weird politics.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, definitely. There's too many grim things around us. So ready to laugh at climate change as far as possible.
Exactly.
Okay. So, right, we'll go through a few questions. And first of all, what does Mr. Goodvertising do? Like promoting the best air conditioner or...
You know what? It's simple, right? I think I promote the opposite. The simple premise of just opening the window and then you'll be feeling cool and nice inside.
Yeah.
It's a strange time, right? I work in a $1 trillion industry, and all those money being spent on getting us to consume more and so early in my career, at the age of 30, after the climate summit in Copenhagen, I sort of asked myself a big question, which was probably the nagging guilt, where I asked myself, what can I actually do with, the professional skills that I have? Like, I mean, if you're a lawyer, you can go into human rights. If you're an advertising guy, maybe you can do advertising slightly better. And I really mean slightly.
Yeah, true. Well, obviously, advertising is always there's always got that final aim of selling something, but at least you can sell a product that does sound good, and in selling in a way that it's not too nasty or dodgy.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, we as an industry, we do build brands as well, and I think all of us have a relationship with lots of different brands, whether that being an artist or a consumer product, and I think finally we're at a point in history where there is better choices out there, and so why don't we just shine a light on those better choices? I mean, energy. Look at energy today. We had a really interesting point in time where renewable energy is cheaper than those damn fossil fuels. So can I do something to open people's eyes towards that? That's amazing.
Yeah. So you mentioned brands. So I want to talk about brands because you work with some of the most popular brands in the world, like Meta, LinkedIn, Adidas. But I guess all of them fall in the hero trap, which we will talk about later. But have you worked with villains too, like those greenwashing champion like Eni or Shell or those bad guys? Yeah.
I think like in any other superhero movie, it's not always that clear who is the villain. I mean, in James Bond, it's pretty clear. I think we like to vilify quite a bit, right? In general, I mean, we like to vilify people who eat beef. We like to vilify companies who do X, Y, Z. So I mean, one villain might be somebody else's hero. I think for me, obviously, our industry is faced with a lot of greenwashing overall, and what is sustainable, anyways. I mean, I just think it's completely nonsense that we today label products that are fair trade or B Corp or conscious. Whereas we should be doing the other thing. We should be labeling the products that do harm to us, that are made of fossil fuels, that are. So there's a lot of things that can be done in this industry, and I mean, for me, I feel always it's a personal choice. Also, for some of my colleagues that work with me, what do they like to work with? What don't they like to work with? And so I think that's sort of a moral question. I generally am in a very good position today that I can say no. And so if there are companies that knock on my door and want to do a thing that I don't think is really aligned with how I see the world, then it's a clear no. But with massive size, if you work for some of the world's biggest companies, it's complex. because with
Yeah.
size comes complexity. So sometimes I have to ask myself the tough questions. Do I want to work with a company that can deliver a change at scale, or do I only want to work with small companies that drives small subtle change? That's the big question I sometimes ask myself.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That's something I've never thought about. But I mean, coming back to the label thing, I mean, I'm not against the label. I think label is good in a way, but they need to prove whatever they say on the label. That's the key point to me, to be honest. Because words can mean anything. You can say eco-friendly, but what does eco-friendly mean?
Yeah.
Based on what? Based on what numbers is eco-friendly law?
And plus labels. What is labels? Labels are in so many ways ridiculous. Like if I went on a first date, right, and I had a little label, a little pin on my chest, and it said I'm herpes free. I mean, would you trust that label, or would it make you more nervous? That's the
Like,
thing. So I think labels are most of the time used because you don't trust the brand.
yeah,
Having a
okay.
label on a politician that says trustworthy politician or fact check, does that really help us? It probably doesn't. So I think that's the thing about communication that we sometimes need to look at is, how do you build trust? How do you build authenticity? And that's what I've been asking myself through the years, is that one question. So I agree with you. Labels on people and on products, they're ridiculous.
So wait, are you telling me that I should not believe a label saying "Make America Great Again" on a hat, on a red hat, on top of a certain politician? Are you sure?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one. I think that is the power of communication, right? We like to simplify things, whether it's hope
Yeah,
or making America great again, and that is why it's so difficult to get people engaged in climate, because a lot of these conversations around climate, they aren't black and white. But if we are to create effective communication in the climate space, it needs to be simple, actionable, and emotional. So
yeah,
basically, what we need right now, we need a bit of a hope campaign or make climate great again. And
yeah,
so I think that's a challenge to your audience as well out there is, go do that campaign.
yeah. I guess yeah. That's a key point here. It's just like making a good slogan, like to counter the bad ones, I guess. So talking not just to give advertising too much advertising to Trump, but I really need to talk about something because you are from Denmark, right?
I am.
And we must talk about Greenland, right? Because that politician is obsessed. So I don't want to name it, but it's obsessed with Greenland, yeah,
Yeah.
which is good news. I mean, he realized about ice melting finally. It's a good news. Uh, So I mean, but it gives me, thinking about that guy, it just gave me climate anxiety. So I was wondering if there any way that good advertising can counter climate anxiety in a way.
Yeah, it's fun you bring up Greenland. I mean, my brother was born on Greenland. My
All
parents
right.
have spent extensive time on Greenland. I'm unfortunately the only one in my near family who hasn't been to Greenland.
Oh,
So, yeah. So it's something that's obviously quite close to my heart. But again, a lot of rhetoric, a lot of heated rhetoric around it. I think the challenge about anxiety today, and we live in quite a anxious world. The political reality you
yeah,
brought up, climate change, social cohesion, misinformation, all of these things, right? And so sometimes it's important for us not to fall into that trap. It's the same thing if we think about it from a psychological point of view, right? If you go through a stressful period in your life, a breakup, something else like that, you have a grieving phase in some ways, right? And need to work yourself through that. That you know that
yeah,
behind those clouds, there's always sun.
yeah,
You just always need to
yeah,
think about that.
yeah,
And for me, it is important that people turn that anxiety into something a lot more meaningful, because we aren't without choice. we are agents of our own life, and it's a key part of the Hero Trap book as well. Is actually to say that
Oh yeah.
we are empowered. We are citizens. We only get the politicians we vote for. So maybe those are the politicians we deserve. We only get the
Okay.
climate based on the products that we choose, the world that we want to make, the world that we want to create. So in that way, I think we are at an interesting point in time where the pendulum has been swinging back and forth between sort of on this climate agenda. Now there's this opposition from, for example, the orange monster on the other side of the Atlantic at the moment. But I think that's good because it's a reminder of the two worlds. And right now we have a world fueled by fossil fuel, billionaires, tech bros, a highly conservative world that wants to bring us back in a time machine to a world that doesn't exist, a world where
Yeah.
men are not equal to women, all this. We have race, where oil is cheaper than renewable. That world doesn't exist anymore. So that's the
Yeah.
thing, right? You can't jump in a time machine like that. So I'm happy about that because it reminders, and not just the people who were passionate about climate, but much more people that this actually matters. And the Guardian got a project called the 89 Project that they've done with a number of other publications, Spiegel and others. And what's so fascinating about that 89 Project is that they actually say that we, the majority, 89% of people, are willing to spend 1%
Yeah.
of income to fight climate change. That's amazing. And people in global south
Yeah.
are actually more willing to spend that money than us wealthy
Yeah.
bastards that should be spending much more, right? So I'm not only hopeful, but I feel empowered in these sort of political challenging times. So, I just say to Trump, come take Greenland if you want. If you keep the politics anyway, you'll be left with a very, very small little rock.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's interesting, to see how things change, with climate change, and the ironic thing to me is that someone like Trump manages to deny and recognize climate change at the same time. It's so weird, and
And also the fact that actually the guy who is really pro oil, what he's doing
yeah,
right now with the price of oil going up is really helping the Europe and many other countries to understand that maybe actually energy independence is not about oil, it's about getting
yeah,
rid of oil. I don't think we
renewable.
listened to the lesson we learned from Putin when Putin was closing off the gas in Europe.
Yeah,
But now we learn
exactly.
it again in a very short amount of time. So it's good news, and it's something that if people out there are climate anxious, you should be hopeful about. When we hit
Yeah,
120, $130
I
a
mean,
barrel,
yeah, it's like it's the bright side or the bad things happening, making you realize that, whoa, okay, renewables are not just like a tree hugging thing. It makes financial sense. Like it just, yeah,
But it's also like if you think about it from a historic perspective, I'm in London today, right? And the British Empire in many ways was built on only coal, in early industrialization, etc. And then oil came, and so it's quite recent in human history that we are extracting oil at this massive scale. And so every
yeah,
time people are telling us, oh, but oil is such an intricate part of our lives, we don't have to go back very far to actually understand that we can easily live without all this fucking oil in our lives. And the only reason that it's there, it's because it's subsidized. And on the face of it, it looks
yeah,
cheaper. We
yeah,
will come to a point where we will understand that something that takes 1 billion years to produce, when we compare that with growing something naturally, a tree, a plant, and extracting oil from that, it's a much better choice. It's circular.
yeah.
So we'll come to that conclusion eventually. And so lots to be hopeful for.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, like you are in London, you said. So, I talking about good advertising. I came up like probably a few years ago. I can't remember if he's still there, but there was a fake Tesla advert at the bus stop saying, reading the swastika like goes from 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. Yeah, that was a funny time machine. Yeah, what do you think?
I think you're touching on something we spoke about earlier as well, right? That a hero, somebody's hero, can quickly turn into a villain. Tesla, I think, and Elon Musk in particular, was one of those brands that actually were loved by a lot of people in the climate movement when the Tesla sort of came,
Yeah,
and so he was a climate darling for quite a few years, and now see what's happening, right?
yeah,
So. Bill Gates, another one. I think a lot of people hated that guy in the early years of his tech career. Today, he seems like quite a lovely guy, you know?
yeah,
So I do like that type of advertising. To be honest, I do like when citizens use the tools of my industry to speak
yeah,
truth to power, and I can only encourage more people to do that. It is what is creating a tsunami of change. And
yeah,
it's going to be a lot more forceful going forward because remember my industry, when I started in my industry, creating a film, creating a print ad was a very, very difficult tool. It would take a long time. You'd have to go on a photo shoot. You'd like all these tools were only available for professionals. All of this is available now for even a 5-year-old can create an anti
yeah,
Coca-Cola ad and make it seem convincing. So we're at a
yeah,
time where the power of communication is tipping away from big corporates to people like you and me and anybody who's listening out there today. So I'll say, go do much more swastika ads, go to talk truth to power, whether it's your local city officials, whether it's those high up in your country's government, or whether it's some of the brands where you hate what they're doing, use that power of communication. It is really a tool of change.
yeah. So, what coming, close to this topic. So, how do you see AI in all this? As a threat or as a tool? As a, because it can be dangerous now. That I mean, you can create any fake stuff like in a seconds. Anybody. So, what do you think, with your perspective?
Like any tool, a hammer can kill a person. So it
Yeah,
really
true.
depends on who holds that hammer in his or her hand, and
Yeah,
it's very much the same with AI. I mean, AI can, in some cases, actually be an eye opener to what we need, is to understand our humanity,
yeah,
and to understand that maybe the most important thing and what actually gives us a dopamine kick is taking care of people, being generous.
yeah.
That gives you the same dopamine kick as going out and buying a fancy pair of shoes or whatever else you do when
Mm.
you believe in the advertising.
But
So I
it's
hope
cheaper. It's cheaper though.
it's cheaper. It's much cheaper. So I think we will find, hopefully help us find back to that core humanity. And maybe also it will bring us back to a time where everything is not about efficiency.
Yeah,
Because in my time, in my only short life, I've only seen things become more and more efficient. Remember a time when the doctor would have time for home visits, when the postman could stop and talk to Antonio? Those were amazing times. But suddenly everything is about seconds and maximizing all that stuff. So hopefully
yeah,
AI can, together with robotics, free us from a lot of that stress that's not helping anyone. And so every time people say, oh, but we might have to lose 20% of the workforce, not really. If that's the thing that we think AI is going to make efficiencies of 20%, I would say, give me 1 or 2 days off work. That'd be amazing. I can work 3 days.
yeah.
I'm very happy to do that. I can go
That would be
running.
nice.
I can go and visit you, all of that
Yeah,
stuff. So let's not overreact to what's happening right now. Obviously, it is a tool. It can be a dangerous tool, but it can also be a tool that gives us a pathway to something better. But I will say one thing: the AI companies need to come real with this stuff. They can't hide behind like, oh, this is going to be
yeah,
great. This is going to be like medical revolutions. you also need to talk about the bad side of AI, the
Yeah,
data
sure.
farms, all of this stuff. So there's a lot of shit as well that comes with AI, as has been shown with social media, with any sort of technological advantage. There are
Yeah,
backsides to
so
that.
it can be hero, it can be villain. Yeah, as well at the same time.
I mean, look at it. Look at it. When the early, industrial revolution happened in Britain, people thought that was great, but the backbone of that was
Yeah,
coal. Coal hasn't really brought
yeah.
us a good place, right?
No, not at all, not at all. Okay, cool. So, well, now is the part of the podcast that turns crazy a bit, because there is a quiz to do if you're ready to that.
Let's do it. I love it.
There's no prize involved, like just the glory, no coal, no.
I don't get a coal certificate, a year worth of coal for my household. Okay.
I can't even promise Greenland,
Oh, come on,
unfortunately.
come on.
All right. So since you're in London, that makes a lot of sense because there are a lot of questions on UK. All right. So to meet its 2045 net zero target, Scotland has to cut more carbon emissions. So was this extra carbon reduction equal to? Option A, you got three options, right?
Yeah,
Option A, 6,000 wind turbines running for a year.
yeah,
Option B, Donald Trump running Greenland for a month.
yeah.
Option C, an electric SUV running over Elon Musk for a minute.
Oh, there's so many good choices. You know, in my life, unfortunately, I found out that aggression only takes you so far,
Yeah,
and and sometimes the part of democracy that's great is that it's okay to disagree. So I want to respect both Trump and Elon Musk, even though I wholeheartedly disagree with their visions for society. So I'll choose the wind turbines. So not
yeah, no, fair enough. It's good. It's good. It's correct one. Even those two were tempting. Let's say. Don't.
exactly.
Let's not choose it. Let's not choose them. Anyway, the second question is, who said that the UK net zero policies wouldn't make any difference to global warming? Option A, Thomas Coaster, after being run over by an SUV. Option B,
Yeah,
Thomas Coaster after pub crawl in Copenhagen.
yeah.
Option Option C, Nigel Farage.
It could both be B and C if it was a good pub crawl. So, it's a tough one. So, but I think let's go
You don't
for it.
remember, right? You don't remember, right?
No, I might have said that. I might have said that at some point. I do like a good pub crawl in Copenhagen, but let's go with Nigel Farage.
Okay.
He's a guy who's populist, incentivizing hate, and not really fulfilling his political democratic ideals. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You got it right again. Yeah. You're good. You're prepared. You're prepared. You started. Yeah. Okay. So last question. Last question. Probably the most difficult one. Okay. What is youth washing? Okay. What is youth washing? Option A rejuvenating skin product. Right. Option B, the practice of using young people to look serious about climate action.
Ooh.
Option C, the practice of forcing young people to do the washing up for you.
I think they all kind of sound very, very similar in some ways, right? Um, beauty industry have used youth to sell old guys like us skin products for a lot of years, right? We wanna put that cream on so we don't have wrinkles. And
Do you do any advertising about skin product, by the way?
I do actually. I do quite a bit of that.
Okay.
So I do know the category quite well, and it doesn't seem to be working very well either,
No, man.
unfortunately. But yeah, I probably would say that it's B, and it's something that I have seen quite a bit, unfortunately. That young children being used to advertise, climate consciousness, etc. I will say one thing though, which is highly effective. Talking to people all over the world around why they got involved in climate change, sometimes, and one question or one answer I hear again and again and again is that when people have children,
Okay,
or when people have grandchildren, it's actually a
right.
little call to action when they start caring about the climate. So it's so great to see right now that a lot of grandparents all around the world and across the political spectrum are slowly waking up to what is the world that we want to build for our grandchildren or our children. So having a child, even though people say, should we bring more kids into the world? If that gives you that sort of consciousness, maybe that's okay.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's always a very delicate matter, when you talk about children. So, but
Get
there's
rid,
an ethical.
yeah, get rid of the dog, go for a child. I'm sure that the child can do a lot more better stuff in the world than the dog who's just gonna boost your ego and be a cheap friend, right? Sorry for
Okay,
being
fair
personal.
enough. That's the strong view. That's well, and fair enough. Many animal lovers will not like the answer.
It's that thing with the sad single cat woman who never got a child. No, let's not go down that direction. It's fine. We're playing around. We're playing around.
Yeah. No, I'm joking. Anyway, so if you have any, well, we kind of get to the conclusion of this. If you have anything else you want to mention, any feedback or at all, let me know. Otherwise, well, I'll thank you for your fun contribution first of all, and it was a pleasure.
Antonio, no, thank you for starting or ending my week with a smile. And to be honest, I think we all need to smile more. What's so great about smiles is that they release endorphins and all this stuff. They make us happy. And I think
Yeah,
when you met with aggression, when you're met with anxiety, smiling positivity is in fact the cure. So sometimes when someone gives you the fuck finger, whether that is Elon Musk or someone on the street, the best thing you can do is open your arms and say, I love you too. And that's a much more disarming thing than raising your finger and giving them a
yeah,
fuck. So
too.
maybe that is
I agree.
my response to you, audience here today, is just let's smile more, let's embrace the other side, but with love, compassion, and understanding, because a lot of this comes from not a place of evil. If you're a farmer, you're probably stuck in a pretty difficult financial situation, and you don't really see a way out of that. And so let's just kind of help each other out. We all share this one beautiful, amazing blue planet Earth, and smiles can probably preserve it better than aggression. That's at least my philosophy.
That's good. That's good. That's good point. That's good point. I agree. Even because that we don't have, I like Musk is saying or Bezos, Moon and Mars don't can be colonized very easily. So we just need to stick with this one, I think.
Exactly. So let's love this little planet, and let's have a little bit of more smiling on this beautiful Friday here in the summer.
Cool. Thanks a lot. And in the meantime, to all listeners, remember to fight climate change one laugh at a time. Ciao.